like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
It began with a single clip, blurry, short, almost unbelievable. A whisper of a moment that made millions of hearts stop. The kind of scene you could miss if you blinked, but the kind that would replay endlessly in your mind once you saw it. A small gesture, hidden in the corner of a frame, yet powerful enough to change everything. When fans first stumbled upon it, the world of ARMY tilted on its axis. The video wasn't polished or staged. It wasn't a performance or a fan edit. It was real, raw, unfiltered. And at the center of it all were two faces that could never quite hide what they felt for each other. Jimin and Jungkook. No lights. No script. No cameras rolling for a show. Just the quiet intimacy of two people who had grown tired of pretending they were only brothers. The scene was captured during one of those late rehearsal nights, when the air inside HYB's practice room still smelled faintly of sweat and rain. The music had already stopped, but the echoes of laughter lingered. Jimin was sitting cross-legged on the floor, his hair damp, his hoodie oversized, his cheeks glowing in the dim light. Jungkook was standing in front of him, fidgeting, biting his lip the way he always did when he wanted to say something but didn't know how. For a long time, nothing happened. Just the sound of the rain tapping on the window. Just Jimin's soft giggle when Jungkook brushed his hair aside. Just silence, the kind that says more than any words could. And then it happened. A moment that wasn't supposed to be seen, yet somehow was. A lean closer. A shared breath. And the quietest, most genuine kiss, quick, tender, but real. The kind that doesn't belong to a performance or a fanservice act. The kind that belongs to two people who have been waiting for too long to simply be seen as themselves. That clip spread like wildfire. Some called it fake, some called it brave. But those who had followed Jimin and Jungkook through the years, through the glances, the late-night lives, the small touches behind the stage, they knew. They knew this wasn't just a random moment. It was the truth quietly unfolding. For years, ARMY had seen it in flashes. In the way Jungkook's eyes softened when Jimin laughed. In the way Jimin's tone changed whenever he said "Kooky." In those accidental slips, the "love you," the "he's mine." The way they moved around each other like gravity itself was stronger between them. But this time, there was no space to deny it. The kiss was real, and so was the emotion behind it. What followed was silence from HYB, as expected. A company built on perfection couldn't afford to let imperfection, or love, slip through its polished image. But fans knew the pattern too well. Every time something too real surfaced, the company drowned it out with schedules, interviews, and distractions. Yet this time, the silence only made the truth louder. Jimin disappeared from social media for a few days. Jungkook didn't post either. But when he finally did, it was a simple photo, a soft sky, golden light, and the caption, "Sometimes the truth doesn't need to be explained." The timing was too perfect to ignore. And then came Jimin's reply on Weverse, quiet, careful, but filled with meaning. "We don't have to hide what's already seen." The fandom erupted. It wasn't about confirming or denying anymore. It was about acknowledging that maybe, after years of shared gazes and unsaid words, the truth had finally slipped through, and they didn't rush to cover it up. For some, it was shocking. For others, it was the most natural thing in the world. Because if you had watched Jimin and Jungkook long enough, you'd know that their story had always been written between the lines, in the moments when the cameras panned away, but the connection remained. That kiss, brief as it was, carried years of meaning. It wasn't about rebellion or exposure. It was about freedom. The quiet rebellion of choosing honesty over fear. There's something almost poetic about it. Two idols trained to hide every emotion, finally letting the world see one that was never meant to be hidden. It wasn't the kind of kiss meant for shock value or attention. It was the kind that said, "We've been through too much to keep pretending." Behind the fame, the lights, and the endless eyes watching them, Jimin and Jungkook had always been more than just bandmates. They were two souls intertwined through years of struggle, laughter, and silent comfort. From the early trainee days, when Jungkook looked up to Jimin as his safe place, to the world tours where they leaned on each other just to stay grounded, it was always them, in their own small world within the chaos. So when that clip surfaced, shaky, imperfect, human, it wasn't scandalous. It was almost beautiful. It felt like watching two stars finally align after years of circling each other from afar. And maybe that's why fans didn't turn away. Because deep down, everyone could feel it, the warmth, the tenderness, the familiarity. It wasn't something that could be faked. It was love in its simplest, most genuine form. As the days passed, neither Jimin nor Jungkook addressed the moment directly. But their actions spoke louder than any statement could. Jungkook began wearing Jimin's bracelet again, the same one fans had noticed during the yet-to-come promotions. Jimin, in one of his live streams, hummed softly to Jungkook's "Standing Next to You," without saying his name. Little things. Quiet confirmations. And every time they crossed paths on camera again, something had changed. They no longer seemed to be tiptoeing around their bond. The air between them was softer, yet more sure. The smiles lingered a little longer. The space between them grew smaller. It wasn't about proving anything anymore. It was about living honestly, even if quietly. There was one particular live that fans still talk about. Jungkook went live late at night, his hair messy, his voice calm. He read a few comments, smiled, and then whispered, almost absent-mindedly, "He said I shouldn't stay up too late." There was no name. But there didn't need to be one. Everyone knew who he was. Moments like that felt like soft echoes of the kiss, reminders that the truth, once seen, couldn't be unseen. For Jimin and Jungkook, maybe the kiss wasn't an accident. Maybe it was a choice, a moment of honesty in a world built on masks. Maybe it was their way of saying, "We're done pretending." And for those who had followed their story for years, it wasn't about labeling or defining. It was about recognizing love in its purest form. Because sometimes love doesn't need words. It doesn't need a confession or a headline. It just needs a single, undeniable moment. One that reveals everything. The truth about Jimin and Jungkook has always been there. Whispered in gestures, seen in glances, hidden in laughter. That night, it simply decided to show itself. It wasn't a scandal. It was a story, one written in quiet courage and soft defiance. And maybe that's what made it unforgettable. Because while the world debated whether it was real or not, those who had always seen them for who they were knew one simple truth. Some things can't be acted. Some moments can't be scripted. Some love stories don't need to be hidden. And in that quiet kiss, the one they didn't cover, the one that slipped through the cracks, Jimin and Jungkook didn't just reveal themselves to the world. They revealed what love looks like when it finally stops being afraid.